Well, welcome, Amanda Lehmann.
Hello.
Hi there. 2021 has been an Amanda Lehmann year for certain. She is currently touring with Steve Hackett, and she's released her first solo album, Innocence and Illusion. She's an experienced keyboard player and guitarist, but her voice is bringing back memories of Kate Bush to a lot of progressive rock fans' ears. We're happy to bring this interview with Amanda Lehmann. And thank you, Amanda, for taking some time out of your busy schedule to talk with ProgressiveRockCentral.com. So the first question has to be, tell us a little bit about the tour with Steve Hackett. You've been touring with him since 2009, right?
That's right. Yes.
And you're free to share any Spinal Tap stories or moments.
Oh gosh, there have been all sorts of Spinal Tap moments. I'm not sure if I could pluck one out of the air, but well, let's just put my mobile phone on mute, otherwise that's going to bleep at me. But yes, it's amazing actually how being on tour you just have so many of those, like trying to find the stage and kind of getting lost and just daft things like that, things not working properly, and definitely some Spinal Tap moments on tour. It's been really nice actually to be back doing some shows with them, because it's just been such a long time without doing the live music. It was, I don't know, I wasn't sure how it would feel going back out on tour actually, because we've all been kind of locked down so much, and how it was going to feel being kind of out with that many people. But it was lovely, and we were in a kind of like a tour bubble, so we were being really careful, but it was just lovely to see such big audiences and to sort of get the vibe of people, and they're also glad to be back watching live music, and we were so happy to be there doing it. So it was kind of had an extra special kind of atmosphere this time round, that was really exciting, and yeah, just wonderful to do that again after all this time. But yeah, I've been doing shows with Steve since 2009, and I worked with him and the band full time for between 2009 and 2013 sort of time. I had to stopped doing the full-time touring because my son needed looking after by me, because my mum got dementia and couldn't look after him anymore. So I had to just do occasional guest spots. But that means I get the best of both worlds now. So I get to do shows, and I also get to spend, time with family. So, which obviously we all miss when we're away. So it's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
Well, excellent. In what you said there is very important. Most people assume that artists want to get back out on the road and see audiences and get that feeling of camaraderie. But it has, yeah, I'm really surprised over here too. Same thing with we just opened a brand new arena here in Seattle, and the place was packed. I mean, people are not afraid. That's what I'm trying to get to. The audiences are not afraid. They're like, I don't care. I want to go see a show. I haven't seen a show in a year and a half. And they are out there, going to games and going to shows, and everyone wants it back. And I think that's wonderful for you guys to get that feedback from them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think people are going out there thinking, okay, this is a calculated risk, but one I'm prepared to take, sort of thing. I think that, yeah, you might be being very careful all of the time, but you think, no, I'm going to choose to do that, and I'm just going to make it all go away tonight and just really enjoy and embrace this. And yeah,
definitely. Well, you're probably vaccinated. I know I am, and these days, we need to do it to get this thing behind us. So hopefully more and more people will do that. What are some of the highlight songs that you're playing on the set list? And I got to ask you, I think my memory serves me, Supper's Ready was part of Seconds Out. And that
Yeah,
is still my favorite song. Obviously, I'm a Foxtrot fan.
that's right.
Um, and Ned Sylvan does a good job with it.
He does. He's superb. Yeah, he covers all of those, both Phil and Peter. He does those vocals so well. And it's him as well. This is the thing I love about Nad, that he is himself. And yet he does a wonderful representation as well. So the whole, I think he's superb. And he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other, so you've done Supper's Ready, and how does it feel doing that famous
I
song?
haven't played on that song. No, I don't. In fact, when I've been guesting on this tour, I haven't done any of the Genesis stuff. I used to when I was with Steve all the time, but this tour, I've done the first set, which is his own material, so that includes things like Every Day and Shadow of the Hierophant and some of his new ones. So I've left Genesis completely alone because I didn't see the point in like dipping in just for little bits of it, and because I'm not doing that entire tour, I couldn't sort of take on any fundamental roles. So yeah, I stayed out of the Seconds Out set, and so I could just enjoy it. Just sit back with a beer and think, oh, I'm really enjoying this music
And just watch it. Absolutely, definitely. All right, now let's talk a little bit about you. I did see that quote from one of the interviews you did, that when you were 10, you heard Genesis Wind and Wuthering and you thought it was fantastic. Wind and Wuthering is definitely one of my favorite Genesis albums as well.
Yeah.
Favorite. But what is your favorite song off Wind and Wuthering?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, I don't know if I've got a favorite. I love the whole album. I think that it's funny. I wouldn't really pick one out of that album because if I listen to that, I need to listen to the whole thing because it all gels so well as a whole album. And I would never want to listen to it in shuffle mode on streaming. I always want to listen to it from start to finish because I think it's the whole album. But and I think because I always used to listen to it that way, I would never listen to a bit of it. I had it on tape, and I used to listen to it on tape, and so I would just press play at the beginning, listen to the whole thing. And that's how I like to listen to that one. I don't pick any favorites out of that album. It's the whole thing for me.
Well, for me, it's definitely One for the Vine and Tony Banks' Extravaganza, Unique Slumbers for the Sleepers, and In That Quiet Earth. But for a lot of people, it was always Afterglow. And I love Afterglow.
It's kind of your cliche one to pick. And I nearly did when you asked me the question. I thought, no, Afterglow is the one that comes to mind first, but it's the whole context. So I have to say, when I hear them playing that live, it does take me back to that album and when I first heard it, and brings back all that magic of being so young and into that sort of music, because when I was 10 I was still a child, and so you got the whole sort of childlike perception of such an incredibly atmospheric and imaginative album with such moving music, and tracks like Afterglow just take you off into some amazing land. So I was very glad to be into that music at that young age.
Yeah, me too. They were the first band I really bought albums for. I mean,
okay, yeah.
Listen to the radio all the time, but when I heard that, I said I gotta get this. And I've got the whole collection. I don't know how many times, but they're definitely, they and Led Zeppelin make the pair. I've got the Zeppelin for the rock and the blues, and then Genesis is top. Do you think Wind and Wuthering is your favorite Genesis album, or is there one that
is it my favorite? I suppose in a funny sort of way is because just for the fact that it was the first one for me. So I think for me, it holds the most kind of sentimental value as well. Whether it would be if I'd heard them, I mean, I used to listen a lot to the Lamb in later years when I bought that album, and I bought, but the actual the record, or vinyl, as we're supposed to say now. I loved the Lamb because there was such a variety on there, and again, just such a wonderful concept album. But I mean, I have so many favorites. It kind of, I think it depends on your mood as well. But I think that, I think Wind and Wuthering will always hold a special place for me.
All right.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Steve Hackett
album? My favorite Steve Hackett album, I think, is Beyond the Shrouded Horizon.
Yeah. It's a good one.
It's I know I sing a track on it, but it's not because of that.
Yeah.
But I find that album the most sunny and varied album. I love that album. I listened to it. I haven't listened to it for a long time. I listened to it the other day. I love this album. It was, I don't know. It was just a new sort of sunny era type of album of his, and I think that it's a shame that it's perhaps not sort of remembered as much as the older albums are, like Spectral Mornings, which is one that one would think to pick because that's got some incredible tracks on it, and it's also sort of, it's just one of those sort of classic albums. So I'm kind of bucking the trend a bit by picking one that's a more recent one, but I do love that album.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, enough about Steve Hackett and Genesis. Let's talk about Innocence and Illusion. Okay. I really like the title. It's an excellent title. Do we take the illusions we had as children into adolescence and adulthood?
I think we do. I think as we go through life, we have a lot of disillusions. Life is quite tough. It does. We can become very cynical, and I think we have to toughen up in order to survive. We can't go through floating through as childlike people. But I think that if we possibly can hold on to those childlike qualities, the imagination, and also the openness of mind, I think that children have, because I think we can become very closed and very opinionated as adults, and certainly as we go into teenager, we reject all of the childhood, don't we, as teens, and we think we know it all, and that's a funny old time. So I think that it's nice to hold on to that childlike quality, and I've always kind of brought that child with me, and I think that we all have that, and to embrace it is healthy, because then you're keying into parts of your personality, parts of your deeper self that we haven't kind of reconditioned. So yes, I think we do carry them with us. Yeah.
By the way, I see the red guitar. Very nice.
Hey, oh yeah.
It's a beauty. Well, who are your heroes? You sang about heroes, but who are your living or past?
What sort of music heroes? I think my main sort of musical influences are so many. I mean, guitar.
It doesn't have to be music. Just
it doesn't have to be music. Heroes. Oh, good grief! Gosh, I'd have to.
But think no, about it can be. I'm not saying it can't.
Oh, again, heroes.
Wide open.
I don't know. Amelia Earhart.
No kidding, yeah.
That's the female pilot. She's always been a hero of mine. It's nothing to do with music. I think in a funny sort of way, my dad has always been a hero for me. My dad died when I was 14, so I never fully got to know him. So I think he has remained in my mind, kind of, a father, my father figure, who was amazing and fantastic. And I'm sure he had all sorts of flaws, and he was very human like the rest of us, but he's kind of remained in my mind, somebody who is a hero for me. I don't know who I'd point out as a famous person as a hero. It's a funny sort of area, isn't it? Because I think that if you call anyone a hero, you're kind of perhaps talking about them in a way that isn't real, because we're all people, aren't we? And
Sure.
that almost puts them on a pedestal, and they would probably go, oh no, don't do that, I'm just me. And in fact, that's who are the heroes, it's part of what that song is about on the opening on my album, is who are the heroes. And a lot of people who are heroes are people in the everyday. I mean, I've seen like YouTube videos of a guy rescuing little ducklings from falling down a drain. He's my hero. People who just do amazing things. I find that when I hear about something really horrible in the world, or something cruel or heartless, and it really upsets me, and I have to kind of bombard it with thoughts of good things that people do, of little heroic things people do. So it's difficult to pick out heroes. I think for me, there's lots of heroes.
We all can be heroes. Yeah. And I think that's what you're saying. Yeah.
It's the goodness in humanity that is the hero. Definitely.
There you go. I think Tinkerbell is one of the songs which is linking you back to Kate Bush and her singing. Tell us a little bit about that song and how you appreciate the comparison to such an awesome singer as Kate Bush.
It's a lovely comparison, and it's a bit of a surprise that one on that track, because I was totally unaware of it when I sung that, and people have said that since, and I kind of, I didn't think that I did sound like that. I was just me, I suppose. To me, I sound like me. So I'm totally happy with that comparison, because I love Kate Bush's voice, and I think perhaps what it is that on songs like Tinkerbell, there are some very gentle parts to that. There's some very quiet, contemplative, I didn't say that word right, did I? Contemplative moments where I sing very sort of quietly and intimately. And I think that Kate Bush does that. She will sing out, but she'll also bring you right in. And I think Tinkerbell is a song that there are some very heartfelt and sensitive parts in that song. So although I do sing out for quite a lot of it, because it's quite passionate, there's some little kind of sort of vulnerable parts in the song, and those are probably what people think, oh, that reminds me of Kate Bush. But yeah, when I did it, I was unaware of it. I just sang it because that's what the song needed. But happy with the comparison.
I don't doubt it. Okay, yes, prog rockers can play the blues. That was what Procol Harum was all about, as well as early Tull. But you and Steve do a fantastic job bringing it back on Only Happy When It Rains. We know something about rain here in Washington, but is it all that bad? So you can talk about the blues, and if you want to talk about how you guys handle the rain over there.
Oh, we love the rain in England.
Yeah.
Gives us something to talk about. Oh, it's raining again. And I think Only Happy When It Rains is very much about people who are only happy when they can kind of be moaning about something. It's a bit of a cynical song, really, about these guys who just like, it's they're only happy when they're grumbling. And it's a funny little interlude into the album of sort of cynicism, really, the cynicism that can creep in and rob us of this joy that we can have with life and sunshine and brightness. And the blues goes well with this because it is a bit tongue-in-cheek as a song. It's it's only happy when it rains, and I love singing that blues voice. It's just another part of my vocal style that I really enjoy. So I think it does come as a bit of a surprise on the album because you're sort of you're not expecting it. I love the harmonica that Steve plays on that. We've done it live a few times with Roger King and Rob Townsend on it as well, and so it's got that kind of live feel to it because we'd already played it together. And it's just a great blues number, and live you can keep it going a bit longer, and if you get in the audience going, and you can kind of do a bit of a duet with the harmonica and the sax, and it's just a really good fun live song, and I think it sits really well on the album because it's got kind of it's bluesy jazz, but it sits well with the prog, because it's not a strictly prog album. It's got a lot of progressive elements in it, but it's not, I'm not adhering to just one type of music. But I think to a certain extent, this might be a bit contentious, but I think that the whole idea of progressive is it's telling stories, it's bringing in music that's a bit unusual, and so mix it in. It's all the progressive kind of tones of the music are going to come into that anyway, because that's part of how I write music. So there's bits of progressive in with the mix of blues and jazz. So I enjoy that song. It's a good one.
Right. Well, The Watcher, when I first saw that title on the back of the CD you sent me before actually listening to the song, I was kind of hoping for Watcher of the Skies or some kind of derivative, not the exact song, but some kind of derivative. But you took it in another direction, and tell us a little bit about the evolution of that song. I like it.
Okay, well, The Watcher, funnily enough, I wrote that, the original version of it, I wrote a long time ago before I'd even heard Watcher of the Skies. So that's a bit of a coincidence, but I thought, it's called The One. I wonder if people will think that. But no, I wrote The Watcher back in very early 90s when I was doing a lot of gigging with my own band and playing a lot of my own material. And it was essentially the same song, just kind of very rocky blues, because the band was quite rocky blues. And I've always wanted to do a really, really good recorded version of that song. So I thought, right, I want it on this album and let's revisit it. So I had a good old sort of sort out of it. I changed some of the words, changed some of the sort of the ways it was played, added the introduction and the outro to kind of give it that slightly kind of strange quality, and that slightly kind of, again, to bring in that childlike theme as well. That's a theme that runs through the album, and lay really right back into that sort of bluesy intro, which is what I always wanted to do with that song, so that it could build and build and build and build in and then the guitar, when I do my lead guitar and the instrumental, it really takes off. And so I did put that all down on the keyboard, or the drums and the bass, and I put my guitar parts down and did all the vocal parts, and then sent it over as a complete package over to Nick Magnus and said, right, here it is, and see what you make of that. And he
knows how to do it.
He did some wonderful work with that. He put all that swirling synth, and he put things like the ticking clock and little subtle things like that in there, and some lovely mellotron choirs, and really just he did just what I wanted with it. I'd always wanted it to get to that point in the instrumental, so it built and built, and then just really comes out slightly crazy in the instrumental. And and then comes right back down again, you know, when it comes back out of that into the end section. And so yeah, I am pleased as punch with that song. It is now what I've always wanted. Always had it in my head, and there it is. And yeah, very, very happy with the way that one turned out. Yeah.
What are your favorite memories when you go down memory lane? What are some of the things that make you smile like you're doing right now?
What makes me, oh, so many things. A lot of things that make me smile are memories of good times with people, times when I've had a good laugh with people. You can have those sort of time, you know, the times with things that make you smile that were sad, though, even memories of people who aren't there anymore. I mean, Memory Lane, the song itself, which is after The Watcher, obviously, is about dementia and my mum. But again, Memory Lane is somewhere we all go in the past. And I think that we have so many memories that make us smile. Well, hopefully, we have memories to make us smile. There are too many to pick out. I can't think of anyone sort of in particular to say, well, this is a great memory. So many. But I think, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Remembering stuff. It depends on your mood, but it can make you smile, or it can make you quite sad because you can feel, oh, that's all gone, you know, and I think the older you get, the more sort of you feel loss and time moving, and it's like your life becomes not a series of pages, but a series of chapters or trilogies, or you know, it can seem like things are suddenly, oh Christ, is that you know 30 years ago? But I think those memories can come back as good as new, and you can just suddenly remember like something with a friend you talked about, and or just something daft that, you know, I can remember with my friend Jane when we used to muck about when we were like 12 or something. It made me laugh just as much now as it did then. So I think it's bringing all those memories into your mind now, and making sure that the memories you create now are still ones that you think will make you smile in the future. So yeah, making sure now is good as it can be, as often as it can be, because yeah, life is quite tough sometimes, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And as you say, it seems to be moving faster and faster as you get older. I don't know what that is, but yeah, when you're a kid, it just seems like a day lasts forever. And now
Yeah.
my wife and I were out hiking and doing things, and all of a sudden it's 4 o'clock, and I'm like, what happened? Where did all the time go? It just really fast.
Yeah.
Um,
Frightening.
but you started to talk a little bit about Nick Magnus, but talk about just a little bit about working with Roger King, Nick Magnus. We already talked about Steve Hackett.
Sure.
But those two are just amazing as well. And anyone else you want to talk about as far as producers or mixers or any? Go ahead.
Sure, absolutely.
Floor's yours.
Roger King. Well, I've worked with Roger King a lot over the years. Obviously, I've toured with him, but also I've worked with him when I've done a lot of vocals on Steve's albums. And Roger, I like working with Roger. He's a man of few words, but he will say what he needs to say when he needs to say it, and he's an incredibly talented musician and producer. He just works so quickly and tidily. He calls it housekeeping. He says, I just do a bit of housekeeping, and he sort of just makes all the stuff all tidy. And he's very, very clever, Roger is, and he's a really nice guy. And I'm just so used to working with him. So when I worked with him on Memory Lane, Only Happy When It Rains, and funnily enough, he was the only one I worked with face to face. Everybody else, it was remote recording, just sending files across the internet. But Roger, we did actually record those together. And yeah, he kind of makes you feel relaxed as well. He doesn't judge, he doesn't sort of interfere. If he has a suggestion, he'll make it, but a lot of the time he's very accommodating to what you want to do. Nothing's too much bother, so he says, no, well, that's fine, well, we'll give that another take, and you know, well, that's fine, and yeah, that was a good one. And yeah, he's very good at feeding back. So that was really nice to do those 2 tracks with him, and also we had played them live as well, so he knew the songs in advance. And then so once I'd recorded the guitar and vocal with him, then he went away and did, like Memory Lane, he did the beautiful string elements for it, which was lovely and sounds like a sort of a quartet playing. And then again, Only Happy When It Rains, also jazz band, and again just perfect, just spot on. All the rest of the tracks, with the keyboard and production, I worked with Nick Magnus on, and again, Nick and I have worked together sort of face to face, but we didn't at all because obviously it was all through lockdowns and whatnot. So we did that all remotely. But again, Nick is wonderful to work with. He is as nitpicking as I am, and so you know, we would sort of push files backwards and forwards between us. He has come up with some beautiful interpretations of the songs. I love his use of orchestra and mellotron, beautiful mellotron work he does. And he is also, as is Roger, an incredible rhythm player. Okay, you know, it might not be actually playing the drums or the bass, but wow, those guys can really put together rhythm sections. And I love the drumming that Nick has done on my album. Very, very happy with that. I didn't have time to get any guest drummers or bass players in, but quite honestly, I don't think the album suffers for it, because I think the rhythm section is very, very strong. And if I had said, "Oh, this is so and so," people would have gone, "Oh yeah, you know, it's really good." So I'm totally happy with that. So yeah, and Nick and I have a good laugh as well. We have a similar sense of humor. So again, I love to have a good laugh when I'm playing. And Steve is another one. We laugh. Rob Townsend. All these people have amazing senses of humor. So that I think really makes a difference. And yeah, I enjoy working with them all. They're all very responsive and also don't dominate what I've done. So I will present what I've put together, my song, and they don't try and change it or kind of preside over it. They've all been very sensitive to it and just basically really enhanced the music that I've done. And so it's been a really, really good kind of balanced relationship with every, you know, all the people I've worked on this. So yeah, it's very good.
All right. On future days, you hint that music can lead us back to better days. I agree with you. How can we get more people to listen and believe that?
I don't know. Good question. How can you? I think a lot of people do. I think, I mean, what I've wanted to communicate with this album is a kind of a sunniness, really. I think that, again, this is this childhood thing. I think if we're open to music, if we're open to the idea of things being good, it's not a feel-good album in the sense it's not all jolly. There's some very dark stuff in this album, but I think it takes us on a kind of a journey that goes into some quite difficult stuff, like, you know, The Watcher is a very tense song all about the internal critic and what we put ourselves through. And there's Memory Lane, which is about dementia, which is a really difficult subject to tackle. Even Who Are the Heroes has got some very dark stuff in it. And Tinkerbell, although it's a beautiful sunny song in some ways, again, that's got a flip side to it. It's got a torment. It's quite a tragic song. But it comes out at the end of the album. It brings it kind of into the sunshine with Childhood Delusions, and then the very last track, Where the Small Things Go, which is kind of like a lullaby, saying to everyone, it's all okay, it's okay. We're just here's life, and let's sort of smile on it, and it's got little bits of magic in it, and let's just smile at those pretty colors and have some respite from the hard, tough stuff. And I think we all need to take a bit of respite and listen to music that makes us feel good and feel happy. And I think music it's like watching a sad movie. You watch a sad movie, it makes you cry or feel like crying, which you would think would be depressing, but most sad movies have a happy ending. So in a way, my album's a bit like a sad movie. It has some very moving parts in it, some bits that can make you feel quite choked up, but it has a happy ending. And I think that's what I want to happen with it. And I think that's a really nice thing with music, and those forever days when music made us feel so good when we were like in our teens. It's like, oh, this is brilliant, and we were just there in the moment. I think that's something to revisit and to just take time out of our distractions, listen to music and let it make us feel good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I got into music, and especially we were talking beforehand about Genesis. It took me away from the problems of high school and the real world. Things were happening in the real world that we weren't really happy with as we're going through adolescence. You'd put this on and be like, wow, thank you, I needed that. It took me away from that. And sometimes I'd put one or two or three on. It really it gives you that escape. And I think progressive rock does that. If I can listen to a story about Squonk or something like that, it takes it away. It kind of puts little reality in there too, but like you say, it leaves you with a happy ending.
Definitely music is so healing. I think it's just wonderful stuff. It really is. It's just fascinating, really, how music can help you. Certainly music saw me through some really bad times, and actually being a musician myself did, it gave me a voice. I found socially I was having a lot of trouble, and music just gave me a way to communicate. Just on a personal level, that it's been hugely healing and hugely enabling and strengthening. So yes, it's quite amazing, whether you're playing it or listening or both. It's a very powerful thing that we have.
Well, I definitely love We Are One. It has some of the feelings I find. And I don't know if you've ever heard Midnight Oil's classic One Country, where we are one planet. We all need to learn to share it. So many people have tried to reach out. The Beatles, Love Is All You Need, John Lennon, Imagine.
That came out that came out when I was born. I've told you my age now. All You Need Is Love. That was like the summer of '67. So that's my song.
Yes, it was a great. And I guess if more people say it enough, maybe we can get people to actually believe this. I know there's a lot of, here comes this pandemic out of nowhere and just shuts everything down. You can't plan for things like that. But just that constant need to sort of monitor how we put all this stuff into perspective and know that, like you say, there's going to be a happy end.
Yes. And We Are One was written initially about elephants, because I wrote the initial one I wrote was for an elephant charity. And then I sort of remixed it and redid some of the redid all the vocals for this and added some sort of bits of extra guitar and bits and pieces for this album. But it's interesting because it's about elephants and the elephants as a herd, and but at the same time you can reinterpret that song to be for humanity and the best in humanity, you know, socially looking after each other, not against each other, unity, family. And in a sense, you know, if you think about elephants and how they function, they are wonderful creatures and we can be as them. You know, I know it's a bit sort of, you know, innocent, but I do like to look for the best. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes one can despair, you know, people think, oh, you know, oh, you know, but you can still hope that the good, you know, the sort of the better side wins through, you know, and we kind of get out of our negative states and can actually come back together again and just have more generosity of spirit and more, you know, empathy with our fellow human beings around the globe. So yeah, we are one.
Well, you kind of talked about childhood delusions, so I want to ask you about that. And you talked about where the small things go. I think that is just wonderful. You kind of, it seems like you just, Steve here, you lead this and I'll follow you. And that part just sounds fantastic. But if you want to talk about them, definitely. But what is next for Amanda after the tour? Have you talked about a new album yet, or a tour of your own, or?
Well, I definitely will be doing another album. That's for sure. I've already got songs half written for it, in not recorded yet. But I'm already kind of thinking about the next album. And I've obviously been quite busy with this one and with the touring, and I've got some musical projects and collaborations coming up that I'm going to be doing. But as of next year, I want to be starting to record again for the next album. And I hope that doesn't take me quite so long to actually produce as this last one did. But
you want the first one to be perfect, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think to actually record that last one probably took a couple of years, but which is fine. I don't, I think bringing out an album every couple of years or so is fine anyway. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting back into recording some more music for the next one. And as for live work, I would very much like to put a band together and do this live. I haven't got any immediate plans to do that at the moment because the logistics of it is just something that I can't do at the moment, and with all this COVID stuff, it's just not the best time anyway.
No.
But it's further down the line. I would hope to do something with it live. I think it would be a real challenge, and I do love playing live. I mean, I've spent most of my life doing that, so that's something I hope to do. Definitely, yeah. But the music will continue. There'll be more.
I don't doubt it. Any people you'd like to collaborate with, or do you want to mention anything that's upcoming, or it's still?
I haven't got anything kind of. I haven't got anything in the pipeline with anybody, but there are people that I'd like to collaborate with. I will hopefully continue sort of obviously collaborating with the people I already have. I think that I'll be doing more work with Nick, certainly. Maybe the others, depending on how, what they're doing and how busy they are. There are different musicians that I wouldn't say, because I haven't approached them yet, so I can't really say anything here, but that I have got in mind that I might approach just for some sort of little bits of the sort of different instruments that I don't play that I'd like on there. So yeah, I think there will be people that I do have on the next album that will be sort of nice guest appearances, because I like that, because I think that you can only do so much as a solo artist. You can make amazing work, but I think that if you bring in other people, you get their interpretations, which always makes the whole project bigger than any one person could produce. And I think, you know, unless you're Mike Oldfield doing Tubular Bells, which was incredible, I think that the majority of people obviously do work in collaboration with others, and I, you know, I'm definitely one for that. So
it's
so
great to
we'll see,
bounce
we'll see.
ideas. It's great to bounce ideas off other people. Definitely,
Definitely.
we're supposed to communicate, and we're human beings. So yeah, definitely.
Exactly. Network.
It works best that way. I want to thank you very much for sending this. I forgot to do that, and thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Well, let this is always the last question I ask. Is there anything that I missed that you would like to discuss that, you know, we haven't talked about?
Gosh, well, I think we've covered an awful lot, really, haven't we? I think, yeah, I think we've. There's always more. We could talk for hours, couldn't we?
Yeah,
there's always more to talk
you're
about.
very interesting. You're very interesting to talk to. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
you got a lot of history, experience, and definitely, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I can't think of anything specifically. I just think it's just been really nice to talk about the music generally, and the power of music, and other musicians, and just people generally. It's been a real joy to put this album together. It's something I've wanted to do for so long, because I think that, like we said earlier, I think music really does speak to people. And although these songs that I've written and I've sung them, I play guitar on them, it's that it's all very personal to me. I do, you know, I want people to hear it. I want people to listen to it, because I think that it is, as we said earlier, I think music helps. I think music speaks, it's a language, and I think that I try not to be too specific in songs in the sense of the facts, because I think, again, everybody can make it their own story. And I think that we love music, we love films, we love artwork, we love, you know, all the arts. It's all stories, and we make it our own. So it speaks to us, and we interpret it through our own emotions and experiences, and that's what I love about the arts generally, but obviously music's my art, and it's just been lovely to get that, and to get such lovely responses from people. You know, to know that that's really working, people are loving it and wanting to play it. But that's you know, that's means a lot to me. It really does.
Well, Amanda, thank you very much for spending your precious time with us at ProgressiveRockCentral.com. Good luck on your tour and with all that you do in the future. And thanks again. I think that the Hackett tour is wrapping up here shortly. And are you going to be, one last thing, are you going to be, I think he's coming back in 22. Are you going to be on that tour as well, or?
I'm not quite sure. It depends on how things are at home as to how much touring I can do. I do want to do some more touring, definitely, and I'll certainly be able to do more in the UK. How much abroad I can do, because obviously it means being away for a lot longer. It's still kind of a bit tricky, so we'll have to sort of see how that goes. At the moment, I haven't made any concrete plans, as it just depends how things are at this end as to how much time I can get away for. But I yes, you know, I do love touring. I love so, you know, I've visited so many different countries when I toured a lot with Steve and the band, and I kind of miss people, and people say, oh, you're going to come back, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'd love to, you know, beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I can I will, and I do miss everybody, so yeah.
Well, thank you again. Really appreciate all your time. And I'm going to go ahead and end the recording. And
Okay.